Hello and welcome to the Celtic Down Under podcast. We are live. How are you all going out there? Let us know in the comments. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me tonight, we've got Sean and John. How are you, Sean?
Yeah,
I'm good.
pretty good.
Oh, was that Sean or John?
He said
Yes.
Sean.
Good one, boys.
Good
Cut off
start.
of the knees, John. Going pretty well. I've got enjoying a Lefroy that my mum sent over from Scotland for my birthday tomorrow. And had a very interesting experience today where I found out that my amateur football team has multinational supporters all around the world, Vietnam, China, all sorts of places. Basically anywhere where they can bet. Yeah. One of our games got abandoned and I had to deal with like 20 messages to the club Facebook asking what happened in the game. All from, and I'm like, and who are you? Which organization are you from? Like, oh, just a fan. Yeah. In Vietnam. Sure you are.
Punting, lovely. And how are you, John?
Good. It's definitely John, you said there, right? Just making sure. I'm good. Just a bit bored because Sydney's obviously in a lockdown. So probably going to go on for another week because cases keep going up. So, yeah, good to be here. A bit of distraction.
Be good for you. So what we thought we'd do with this podcast is there's been a lot of rumours, all sorts of crazy stuff about, Celtic needing to recruit new players and with Ange coming in, what we're going to do and what the rebuild's going to look like. And we've had these little discussions here and there on our regular podcasts over the last, 2, 3, 4 months, maybe even since Lenny left back in, what was that, March, end of Feb sort of thing. So we've been talking about it then. So we're like, let's just do a live podcast. Let's just get the discussion going and, see what we come up with. So hope you enjoy it. If you think we're talking shite, let us know in the comments. If you think we make good points, let us know. Just any feedback's good feedback. So what we'll do is, if you like what you're listening to here, give us a subscribe, like a podcast, that sort of thing. But yeah, we appreciate all of that. So what we'll do, straight in at first topic, John, I'll throw this one to you. Is Sean Maloney coming in as Director of Football / Performance Director now that Belgium are out of the Euros?
I hope so. I think that'd be brilliant. I think that'd be a really good step. He's clearly very highly regarded. Obviously has that Celtic connection, which we apparently need. I think it'd be brilliant. I mean, look, I don't know how much of those rumors are true, but I would love to see it if he came in, even if it was as an assistant manager and started there as well. That'd be brilliant. But I think he's probably best suited as a performance director, if there's such a thing. But yeah, I'd love to see that. So hopefully now the rumors become more solid and some sort of movement happens, a yes or a no, or it was always shite, something like that.
Yeah, what do you think, Sean?
Yeah, it's a funny one because you have, as John said, stuff like performance directors can be relatively young players, whereas a director of football would generally be someone older or senior to a manager. So that'd be a bit of a weird one if he was. And that's mainly just because they're recognised as a more senior person typically. But if it was something that wasn't director of football, that kind of takes that away. Look, he's got some experience, he's got some quality, and we certainly need that right now.
Yeah, for me, I think it's one where, is he going to be the guy that we bring in as an assistant manager, like you said, John, and not just have him as Ange's assistant manager, but then have him as when Ange moves on, because he tends to do 3-4 years at a club and then move on, and then have Maloney ready to step into that role? Or are we going to bring him in as like a technical director of football sort of thing? Like as you said, Sean, director of footballs tend to be a bit older, more experienced. For me, I'm still on the Jackie McNamara bus for that one. I'd love to have him in that role as a director of football. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
I wouldn't mind getting in Brian McClure. I don't think he's had any jobs since he was the director of youth at Man United. I don't know what he's up to these days.
Could be an interesting one.
Yeah, I think he'd be a good one. Ex-Celtic player as well. So.
Yeah, there was also the rumours a few months back of Nicky Butt, and he was doing a similar sort of thing for early days in the youth academy and that down in Man United. So for me, he could potentially do that role as well as a technical director. But yeah, I'd still rather. I think Jackie Mack would be best.
Yeah, I think the only real thing that's like might change the rumor into something more solid is a lot of the chat around the Belgium team now that they're at Euros and stuff. Is that golden era, quote unquote, of Belgium probably has passed, and they haven't won any trophies. It might see some sort of changes happening towards like the management. Martinez might not be the manager very soon. Maloney might want to do something different. So yeah, I mean I think it'd be good, but we might just see either more speculation or something more solid.
Yeah, I'm going to say it. I'd rather have Maloney as assistant and Brian McClure as director of football because he is literally older than Postecoglou. So that'd be my preference.
There you go. If you don't agree with Sean, let us know in the comments. If you agree with him, let us know. It's good fun. All right. So what we'll do is we'll give a quick run through of the current squad, how it is at the moment, and we'll give our rundown of if there's people there that we think will be out on loan or moving on, and then we'll get into the recruitment side of it. So starting team currently and the goalkeepers, we have Barkas, Bain, and Hazard. Of those three, any of them going to move on? Any of them going to go on loan? What are your thoughts, John?
Well, speculation suggests that Hazard might be going on loan to Dundee. I think Barkas might get moved on. Do you know what? I don't know. Goalkeeper's a tough one. I think Barkas should be given more of a shot. I think everybody needs to be given a bye for last season, and new manager, new start, and But I think some people, I wouldn't say every Celtic fan, but at least some of them saw something in Barkas to go, he could be, but a decent keeper for Celtic. But right now, he's just not good enough. And we all know that Bain's an okay number 2, but he's never going to be number 1. So there could be a little bit of movement there. I would even put out that Hazard should be the number 2. To be honest, Hazard should be number 2 and ship Bain. That would be my preference.
Yeah, but they're talking about sending him out on loan again, and it's a bit weird to me, to be honest. Like, surely he's at an age now where he needs to be playing for us if he's going to play at all.
What's that, Hazard?
Yeah, Hazard, yeah.
I actually can see both sides of it because Bain, I think he can leave. Hazard, and you got Ross Doohan as well. You got those guys there who are both options. For me, I'd be probably putting Hazard out on loan somewhere in the top flight, Scotland, for the full season. So, say if he was to go to say Siegrist was to leave Dundee United, I'd have Hazard go in there on loan for a full season because I think that'd be some good experience for him. Not at a real bottom level team, but also not at a top 2 or 3 team sort of thing there. So that's where I'd loan him out. Otherwise, he's better off staying. But it depends on what we do. Do we keep Barkas, or as Ange calls him, Barky, or do we move him along and bring someone else in? We'll discuss that further on.
Yeah, he's done a good job of learning the players' names. I noticed that.
Oh, he loves a fist bump too. It's great.
Yeah.
All right, so on to the defence. Greg Taylor, Bolly Bolingoli at left back. Centre backs, we have Chris Julian, hang on. I was going blank there. Chris Iyer. We've got Welsh. What's the new bloke's name?
Origidi?
Azazi Urigidi or something like that.
Azazi Urigidi.
Yep. Then we've got, depends where you put him. Is Shaw a midfielder or is it a centre back? But then you've got Ralston and O'Connor at right back. So any of them you think will be moving on, other than the obvious?
Yeah, Bolingoli's gone, right? Surely.
Yep.
Well, I mean, yeah, those are the 2 obvious ones. I think chat is that Bolly might be given another chance. In fact, I think from the comments as well in the forums and stuff that most Celtic fans will give Bolly a second chance. And
what?
I'd say 80-20. 80% of people are like, yep, give the guy a chance. 20% are saying, he was the start of all the problems last season.
Yeah,
I'm
John,
still in that
question there. Are you looking at Celtic forums or are you looking at Rangers forums? Because if you're in these Blue Nose forums there, then
all Celtic forums.
Is this like Celtic fan 1690? Is that who's commenting? So give him another chance.
Hey, it's a lot of them, not just one forum. It's a few of them. Look,
Is this like when Celtic had the Save Pedro campaign and stuff like that? Celtic fan.
Yeah.
Lucas must stay.
Look, I don't know. I think I to be honest, I'm never going to forgive him for what he did. I think that was a really selfish thing to do. I think maybe necessity might mean we ain't got much of a choice. I mean, he might stay for 1 season, 6 months, and then we can chip him. But nobody wants to buy him. That's the other thing. He is a Celtic player, so there might just be our hands are tied in this situation.
He can go for 3. He can go for a free for all I care. I'd rather have Montgomery and ahead of him playing left back.
I agree.
Well, we got Strangelove the Doctor on YouTube saying it's a clean slate for everyone. Just look at the new contract for Griff. I'm just sucking it up and getting on with it. So I think that's the view that you're seeing there, John, which I'm finding a little odd, but and his next comment's even better. Bully's a tube. He's our tube. Spot on. So yeah, for me, like Bolingoli, the way he plays would suit the way he likes his wing backs to play. So I can see why he'd stay. And it would also mean we wouldn't have to go and spend money in that position because we'd have Bolingoli and Taylor there. But at the same time, yeah, it's if Bolingoli goes, let's just say I won't cry at all.
But Bolingoli's biggest problem is he can run with the ball, but he can't pass it. So it's the development that he's not a ready player. We can't just chuck him in and all of a sudden expect, because he's going to be playing in Ange's system, for him to be any good. I don't know. I still think even if he was to stay, we would still need another left back.
I'm going to disagree with you, John, and that his biggest problem is not his passing, it's that he's an arrogant, selfish arsehole.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah. That's the biggest problem. Yeah. I think that's, yeah.
But then passing is second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just looking at run sheet, we've got a lot of centre mids coming up.
Yep.
Is that right, Jared? Is that all? Oh, geez, though.
There's a few there. Well, Rogers used to joke he has like 74 million wingers.
Yeah.
At the moment, it kind of reminds me of the Ronnie days where we had 47,000 attacking midfielders. So, yeah, so we'll jump into that then. I think right back situation's pretty obvious. We need someone in and now. So,
desperately.
That's probably the key spot to fill. That, and if Aya leaves, then another centre back, but in the back line. But yeah, we'll get through that. So onto the midfield. We have Bitton, Sorrow, Turnbull, McGregor, Christie, Rogic, and Cham. Shaw, if he plays as a midfielder, Henderson, and Connell. So I'll go through my take on that first. Christie's off. We'll get an offer for him. Apparently, he's linked with Crystal Palace today because looks like Patrick Vieira could be on his way there, and he was the Nice manager who wanted him there originally last year. And Cham, the sooner he's out the door, the better for me. Get him off the wage bill.
What happened to everyone's on a clean slate?
Yeah. That's not my comment. But Bitton, I think he's more of a centre back than a midfielder these days. Shaw, he's got about 3 or 4 positions he can play. I was watching something on 67 Hail today where they had a guy from the Sheffield Star on talking about him and Uragiri and the sort of players they are. So, yeah, that was I'm pretty impressed with him. Looking forward to it. I think Luca Connell, here's one I rate. He was playing in the championship before he came up here a couple of years ago. So I doubt if he doesn't make our first team, he'll be on loan in the premiership. Yeah, him and Henderson, they're guys that they're too good to go to our Colts team, which is in the 5th tier. So if we're going to loan them out, we put them in the Premier League in Scotland as well. What's your take, John?
It doesn't make for good reading, I have to admit. I agree. Christie's away. Nacham doesn't want to be here. We don't want him. He's definitely going to go, even on a free. But yeah, apart from Sorrow and Turnbull, it's just the old guard, right? Rogic and Bitton have been around for ages, and I mean, I think on their day they're both very good players, but that's really the problem there. It's on their day and it's not consistent, and we really need consistency for next season. I think as far as Henderson and Connell goes, I don't know what else any sort of manager can do in this position. We have to step the reserves up, and if they're definitely two very, very good players. At least when Henderson was playing, and when we had the entire team plus 5 other players isolating, but Henderson played really well. So I would definitely be including him in the first team for next season. But yeah, it doesn't read great for me, to be honest. We definitely need some centre mids as well.
I mean, looking at that list, it doesn't seem like we do. But I know what you're saying. Like Sorrow and McGregor are the only two obvious, like non-attacking centre mids that are in there. Yeah, and then it's like Turnbull and Rogic. It seems like one of them's going to end up being the odd man out because Rogic has obviously got his history with Postecoglou, and Turnbull was the young player of the year and the Celtic fans player of the year. Like, and Christie's gone, and Cham, unless he has some unlikely renaissance, is gone. So, yeah, we definitely need some reinforcement, and alongside McGregor and Sorrow, attacking mid, we might get away with it. Yeah,
I think
maybe Shaw's first team ready. I don't know, but I don't think so.
We're fine as attacking midfielders, in my opinion, but yeah, I think realistically we need a bit more specialised midfielders, whether that's defensive mid or a number 8. If we're going to bring someone in, like that's why the rumours of Moy coming in makes sense, because he'd be that number 8, get in there, play alongside a McGregor, or if you want to rest him, put him into that role, have Sorrow alongside him as your defensive midfielder, and then you've got your attacking midfielder in to push forward, whether that's Turnbull, Rogic, if Christie hangs around, same sort of deal. So it's either got to be we've got to bring in another defensive midfielder or we've got to bring in another central midfielder. Mm-hmm. And I think they really need to bring one player in. If they can play both roles, even better.
They always talk about like players being in a mold, like where it's kind of you're not saying like, oh, this player's as good as this one, but they're in the same mold. And for me, from what I've seen of Luca Connell, he is in the Aaron Moy mold of a player. Now, I don't think he's at the same level as Aaron Moy, but to me, they have the same niche in a team. So that'd be interesting, because if Moy comes in, to me, that means Connell is not going to play this year.
Mm-hmm. Funny thing, as an Australian, I'm actually all for Luca Connell over Aaron Moy, long term for the club, because I think we've got enough.
Long term, sure. Yeah,
I'm thinking we've got enough in the midfield. If we bring in another defensive midfielder, like this guy that's been linked from over in Japan, that's with their Olympic team at the moment. If you bring him in as a defensive midfielder, great. Put Connell in as your young guy off the bench, or Henderson as your young guy off the bench, and bed them into the team this season in the same way Welsh was bedded in as a centre-back last season, and it's going to set us up better long term.
How old is Moy now?
He's 29, I think. I thought he was 29.
I want Wikipedia and check.
Yeah, hold on.
I mean,
type.
He's not,
guys. Will
he's
30 apparently.
He'll be 31 in September. So, do you really want to be spending however much on a 31-year-old midfielder?
I mean, I would. I mean, me personally, I think what we need is, this is what I was saying the other pod the other day, we need to replace experience as well. I think we've lost a lot of experienced players, and around about, that's still potentially 3 to maybe 4 seasons of a player before they're gone. So if it's a good price and it's not like a ridiculous value, because we're never gonna be able to sell him on, but I think that's definitely worth it.
Off the top of my head, and again, that doesn't mean it's fact. The last 3 centre mids I remember us, or at least midfielders that I remember us signing around about that age range, were Paul Hartley, Barry Robson, and Neil Lennon. Was there more that I'm forgetting about? Because as far as I'm concerned, they were all a success.
And before Lenny, there was, what was he?
Lambert.
When we signed him. He was
Lambert the same age?
He would have been 30 odd when we signed him, I reckon.
Yeah. So maybe I'm forgetting. Maybe it's just confirmation bias. I don't know. But in my memory, we've had good success signing players that age in that position.
It makes sense to do it, as John said, because of an experience factor, especially with Bruni moving on. But at the same time, you've got to remember we've got guys there coming back. Like Forrest barely played last season, and he's coming back in with his hundreds of games of experience. You've got McGregor there. You've got Bitton, if he stays around the club, who's got experience. Like, I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad move, but like, I'm liking these little videos we're seeing of the young guys because I've sat in that crowd watching Angers teams be rebuilt in front of my eyes before and see the way they play. And you need young legs, especially with the pressing and the counter pressing that they do.
Mm-hmm.
You need legs that can cover the ground. I think Sorrow is going to be a big player for us this season. But if he gets himself carded the way he did last season, who's going to be there to play in that role when he's suspended or needs a rest or whatever? And McGregor, we can't afford to run him into the ground the way he has the last few years either, especially in this system. So that's more what I'm thinking. That's why I'd rather a Henderson or a Luke O'Connell, young legs out there.
Yep, I totally get that. I think there's also an argument to say that we also need personality. And that doesn't necessarily come with older age. I think that can be an any age type of thing.
Get us a Vinnie Jones type.
That would be brilliant. But yeah, you know, I think you can be the a right personality. And if I remember rightly, didn't Connell get lauded for being that type of personality, quite a chatty, outgoing young lad? That's a positive person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's because he's a Scouse, right? That's
who's that? Connell.
Yeah, Luke O'Connell.
Yeah, he grew up.
Irish.
Yeah, he's Irish, but he grew up in playing Bolton.
Oh, is he Tony Cascarino Irish?
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure I remember him having a Liverpudlian accent. But I mean, regardless, right? It doesn't have to be an older person to have that type of positive attitude. We just need anyone with that, and if he has that, then that's good.
I look at it and go, it could be a Joe Ledley type coming in like he was for us, where he came in, he'd played a couple of hundred games at the lower levels in England and then came up to us. Doesn't have to be a big name or, as you're saying, or someone in their 30s, but that sort of signing would make perfect sense.
I think so.
Specialist. So, wingers. On the left wing, we have, drumroll everyone, one player, Mikey Johnston. That's it. On the right, we have two players, James Forrest, Marion Shved, and Shved's apparently off again. So, one player. So, Ange, mate, get some damn wingers in.
That's so problematic. Two wingers.
The way he likes his teams playing as well, where they tend to have a front three where it's a central striker and two wide forwards. Who's going to be out there? We're going to have Mikey and Jamesy, and who else? Who's going to back him up?
We'll be shoving midfielders out wide again, and we know that didn't work. Christie was very ineffective out there. Yeah, McGregor, fucking
no,
right back, right wing, centre forward.
Played it before.
I think after right back, wingers are on next.
Dembele. Thanks, Craig. Thanks for the reminder.
Well, that's it, right? This is what I was saying before. We need to let the kids step up. If they're good enough, then they can be in the first team. And Dembele is the perfect example of somebody who could easily come in and do as a good job. He could be Forrest's understudy. So I don't know, play 20 games a season or something. That'd be great. That'd probably keep him around, right?
Yeah, I'd hope that.
Well, from what did you read the Mike Trusson interview where he was talking about how Celtic sign all these young players and then just have no plan for them? And to me, that's like a post-Rodgers thing. And he was focusing on Klimala and Sorrow and how the club signed them but had no plan for the development. But to me, that's highlights a larger issue that for any player that's not playing on a Saturday, there's no development plan for them, and not just is there no plan, there's nothing communicated to those players. So that's why Okoflex is gone. That's why Dembele wants to leave. That's the problem is not just that the players are not getting a chance; it's they're not seeing their route. And you can criticize Chelsea and Man City for hoarding players or whatever, but they very clearly lay out the plan for these players, saying, "Here's your next 5 steps, and at the end of those 5 steps, if you have achieved success at each step, then you will be a Man City first team player. And Celtic are not doing that. From what I've that Mike Trusson interview really set alarm bells ringing for me, the way he was talking about it.
Well, you did a what's it called, a Celtic transfer bingo thing for us, Sean, during the week.
Yeah,
and this just makes me want to say it. Paddy Roberts. I want to see the meltdown in the comments now. But there, this one, RPD 1989, goes to Lennon Stillers on just switching wingers. Bang on.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of doing that, but yeah, it seems to be a Lennon-esque thing.
Just saying it for a laugh. But yes, then we go up forward. You've got Griffiths, Ayeti. I had to put him on, John. He was off the list. Boy, Afolabi has to be in there. Bayo, Edouard. So it looks like Bayo will be off on loan back to Toulouse. Edouard wants away. So any other ones there you want to see moved on, or does it depend on who we sign?
I'm sorry, Jared, but Afolabi's just collecting a wage right now. Like, he's not going to do it.
Connell has been, and the same way Leo Connor has been. Yep, they're all brought in together, and none of them have been given a chance. And I want to see all 3 of them this year.
Well, the other ones are out on loan, so I've seen less of them. But Afolabi's
he was on loan too.
When I've been watching him for the reserves, he's been like, he's not been doing much, to be honest.
I claimed him early doors. He's good. No, he's honestly, I think he's got a lot of, from what I've seen, I think he's one that, if given a chance and a run of games and have a manager who believes in youth and will put the time in to develop him the way Ange does, I think he could show us something. But at the same time, he could just be like, he could flat deceive and be out the door. Like you're saying, if he doesn't break through this season, he's got to go. In the same way Connell needs to go, Henderson needs to go, these sort of guys.
I'm just going to say it now. I've seen something in Albi and Ayeti, and I am all aboard the SS Ayeti. Like, I think if the manager can get him playing, like, get him focused, get him fit, get him sharp, there is a talent there. There's an instinct of a striker there. Lawwell talked about Lennon can see a player. Well, when Ayeti played his first half a dozen games, and in the highlights I watched for Basel, I seen what Lennon's seen, and I think if we can get him firing, he will be our next. Well, I mean, at the time I said Gary Hooper, but I think he's probably better than Gary Hooper in terms of his potential.
He looks fit too. Like, you look at him in the videos and the footage. He, like, this time last year was on his jet ski on holidays before we signed him. So he come in and scored, what was it, 5 or 6 goals in his first 6 or 7 games. So like, if he could do that when he wasn't fully fit, and then you have a look at him now, he looks in some top shape. If he's not fit at the moment, I wish I was that unfit looking. He's in shape, like he could play. So it's good to see.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm nailing my flag to that mast. I'm telling you.
You're claiming Ayeti.
I'm not claiming him. I'm not vicariously success, but I am backing Ayeti to come good.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope he's definitely got the right attributes. He's a different type of striker than we've had in recent times as well, between Dembele and Edouard.
He's a guy who would rely more on the build-up play of others rather than getting the ball at his feet and running at him the way Eddie does. And
yeah,
he's kind of more Dembele type than Edouard type.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's Dembele cross with Gary Hooper type.
Yeah, it needs to be 1 touch, 2 touch shot. That's Ayeti's game.
Yeah.
So I think we need. Look, this is assuming that Edouard's definitely off, because who knows? Some weird stuff can happen between Edouard and Aya and Christine and everybody like that, and they just all sign 1-year extensions. And when the world goes back to normal, we seldom thought they're probably worth. But yeah, I think we could probably do with another striker, especially if we want to switch into playing 2 up front for certain games and stuff.
We could end up in a really awkward position if Edouard decides he wants to run his contract out. And we've got this player whose talent puts him in a £30 million bracket or £60,000 a week wage or whatever, with some middle Premier League team. That's that's his level, and but he's not motivated. So
Yeah, we do what I said on our last podcast. And if you got people like Christie who refuses to take a move if he signs a pre-contract, or if Edouard does the same, doesn't want to move, wants to own his contract, and fuck you, play him in the Colts.
Yep.
But I guess the question is the most talented player at 60% better than the next guy?
Well, looking at our strikers at the moment, let's be honest, if Edouard gave you 50%, he'd be better than Bayo and Afolabi combined.
Oh,
So,
no question.
so that basically brings him down to him at 50, 60%. How does that compare to Griffiths? How does that compare to Ayeti?
Yes. That is
Was he not? He was still the top goal scorer last season, right?
Yeah, that's
Edward,
the funny
yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone,
by a mile?
everyone said he had a bad season. He was top goal scorer by like 3 or 4 goals at least.
I think it was more than that. It was well clear.
There you go.
Yeah, so imagine that.
Play him at 40%, he still bang you in 20, 30 goals.
Yeah, but Ange won't cop that. You heard him in his presser. It's either get on board with what we want or people fall by the wayside. And that's the dangerous game he's playing.
Yep, that's it. And it's only going to be a detriment to his own career if he starts to spit the dummy and not turn up. Because, I mean, last season wasn't great for anyone, to be honest, at Celtic. So to have another
reputation, do you?
Yeah, exactly. Another shit season. Now you got a reputation of being a bit of a spoiled brat. And then, it's not. He's going to take a sideways moves instead of a step up, which is what he wants.
Yep. So just going over what we just have discussed. The guys we think rumoured to be leaving. You've got Connor Hazard on loan to Dundee. Edouard. has been linked with Norwich, Leverkusen and Newcastle. Ryan Christie, Monaco and Crystal Palace as of today. And Cham, Shred back to Midtjylland and Bayo back to Toulouse. Sound about right?
Yep, that sounds about right.
I don't think anyone's going to take him, Jam. That's the thing. Like, Athens don't want to take him if they have to pay £1. Do you know what I mean? Like, they won't pay any money for him.
So does that mean the Rangers Football Club is more valuable at £1 than in Cham is?
Yeah, apparently so.
Oh, God, that's not good for him, is it?
Wait for the comments now.
Yeah, surely there's some sort of contractual thing where you can pay out somebody and just do you not think
if both parties agree?
Yeah, right. Okay, so there's got to be that actually makes a lot of sense.
Full termination, John.
Yeah, but I'm not saying fire him, but like if he's contractually obligated to get in a certain amount of money for X amount of years, and you say, well, I'll just pay you the rest out now.
He's only got one year left.
Yeah, exactly. So whatever his yearly salary is, we'll just give Cham that money. That's him a free agent. You can go do what he wants, and he's off the books.
They do that in the NBA because they call it the stretch protocol or whatever it is, a stretch agreement. So if you want to pay someone out, you can do it once every 5 years or whatever, a team, or every 10 years. And it's like, if you've got a player who you want to get rid of, who's on like $100 million over the next 4 years, but they're playing like absolute rubbish, then they'll get rid of them and they'll pay their wage out over the next 7 years. So they pay them out their full wage, but it counts in the portions over their salary cap for the next 7. Now, there's no salary cap in Scottish football, but that's something a bit similar as well.
Yeah.
Not a player in baseball that's getting paid like, is it Barry Bonillo or something? Have you heard this story? Where like he took a settlement to leave, and like he left the team like 10 years ago, and he's still getting paid like $1.3 million a year until 2035 or something like that. Yeah, they spread it out over like 30 years, so he's still getting like over $1 million every year.
That's a life, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what we're going for, guys. That's the dream.
All right. Okay, we'll jump on to the rumours in. So you've got Kevin Nisbet from Hibs, Aaron Moy from Shanghai Port, Ko Itakura from Man City, George Baldock from Sheffield United, Piero Hincapi, I have no idea how to say that, but it looks like he's off to Lazio anyway, Mario Vuskovic from Hajduk Split, Aaron Hickey at Bologna, Cameron Carter-Vickers from Spurs, Rich Yelly, don't know who that is. I'll let you guys talk about him.
Never heard of him.
Valentin Rosier from Sporting Lisbon, Rob Atkinson at Oxford United, Albert Ellis from Boa Vista, Eric Shevchenko, Matt Ryan at Brighton, Ado Anowayu, or however you say it, from Yokohama, Charlie Wyke, Sunderland, Andre Ayew, Miko Marmol from Barca, Josh King, and I'll let you say that one, Sean. Aaron
Pupenza
Pupenza.
from Hatayspor in Turkey.
Hatayspor, okay. So for me, looking through that list there's a clear 3 areas that stand out. Defense in general.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of centre backs, right backs, left back, or mainly right backs and centre backs. There's wingers and there's strikers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to see what we just was talking about a couple of minutes ago. The areas
that we all need.
Areas what we were just talking about are there. Now I just laughed because of this comment. So before we get on with it, there you go.
Yeah, probably.
What I got is probably still in the books. Yep. Good
Put
call.
that in the bingo card.
It's probably still a free agent as well.
Yeah. So realistically, looking at that there, I think probably the most realistic ones would be Nisbet, Moy. All the main ones we're hearing about are Nisbet, Moy, Itakura, Baldock, Vuskovic, Hickey. They're probably the main ones we're hearing about. I'm glad the Charlie Wyke stuff has gone quiet, especially with Griff being extended, because he didn't do much for any season before last year. So yeah, it's I don't know what you guys think, but any of them that jump out to you?
Oh yeah, look, the first 6 that you read, I've never heard of Piero Hincapi, but the 5 of the first 6 to me were massive yes. Or sorry, 6 of the first 7. Looking at it now, Nisbet, Moy, Itakura, Baldock, Vuskovic, and Hickey, all yes for me. The only one from the list further down that jumps out at me is Svyachenko, who I would take back. Matt Ryan as well, and Josh King. If we're going for we need it this year, then Moy and Josh King are the kind of, this is the players that at their peak or just about to pass their peak. Same with Svyachenko, I guess. But yeah, the start of that list was what I'm really looking at.
Yeah, the problem with Moy is the pay cut, which is something that he's going to need to take. He's probably on about 60, 70 grand a week. Like we'd pay him more than 20, 25 a week. So that's going to be his biggest issue. I know he's got family in Scotland. His wife's from there. But would you take a haircut of £45,000 a week for that reason? It's a big call to do, especially at his age and his career, where he could make some bank in China and then, come back later on when he wants to. If I hear anyone mention Andre Ayew is coming into the club, I will probably want to vomit on them. Like, no.
Yeah.
No.
That's
Do not
a no for me. That's a no for me as well. I think Moy's probably, I don't know what his circumstances are, to be fair, but I would say he probably feels that he might have made his money. And that might be why he's getting speculated moving around. Or it could just be one of these media links that someone just chucks a name out. Aussie manager, Australian player that's quite good and famous. There you go. There's a link.
3 days the range being linked. First 3 days it was, okay, so it's going to be Matt Ryan. Then it was Aaron Moy. And then it was, can't remember who the third one was, but yeah. Oh, it was the Tom story again about talking up Rogic coming back in, all this sort of stuff.
Yep. And let's be honest, if Arzani hadn't been at Celtic before and Rogic was at a different club, they'd be both linked with Celtic as well. I think it's just one of these things. I think a lot of these are either agents just trying to get a bit of buzz about their clients, or it's just media that are trying to get clicks. But there are some in there that I think, if let's say 50% of those rumors are there's some sort of evidence to say that Celtic has maybe asked how much the value of the players are, blah, 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 something like that. then it's encouraging that we're sort of looking at good leagues, the right type of players that we want for the next phase of Celtic and stuff. So, yeah, encouraging, but I don't always believe. I believe almost none of it, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd be looking for 2 out of 3 from Itakura, Vuskovic, and Sviatchenko, centre back. Itakura is 24 and he's just played 2 years in Groningen. So he's had like 50 plus games in the Dutch top flight. And we've got that Man City link. Not interested if it's a loan. He's that age where what is the point in taking this guy on loan? But I would definitely take him as a signing. Vuskovic, if you're 19 and you're in the first team of Hadrick Split, I mean, I've never seen the guy play, but he must be pretty good to get in their team at 18, 19. And, you know, Sviatchenko knows the league. He's in his peak. He's not a great player, but he's got to be better than he was when he left. He's got Champions League experience. 2 out of those 3 for me would be the priority. And I think they're talking about, what was it, 4 or 5 million for Vuskovic? Sorry, I didn't catch the number.
Something like that.
I'd imagine it'd be roughly the same for Itakura. I'd imagine Sviatchenko would be about 3. Yeah. So look, if we can get 2 of those 3 for the price of 1 Julian, that to me that's good business, and that's a good selection to have.
The Vuskovic, is that you say it? Vuskovic? That deal, yeah, that one. That deal's almost done, right? That's what the chat is.
That's a rumor. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it's all rumors.
No,
Ivan Toney was at Celtic Park, all that, you know.
I can tell you what the actual rumors are. The issue, apparently, fees are agreed, wages are agreed, but because Croatia's not part of the EU and also Scotland being part of the UK is no longer part of the EU, it's all about work permits because he's not a full international yet. So that's where the hold up would be on his one. So for me, what you were saying, Sean, you want to get 2 out of the 3 centre backs. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at it going, you've got Ko Itakura, as you said, is 24. You've got Vuskovic, who's 19. That's great, but we've just signed another 20-year-old centre back as well. So realistically, we need, Itakura being a left-sided centre back makes most sense. So if we can get him in, if you got Vuskovic in now, great. We're probably going to need bring in 3 centre backs this off-season, because if Aya goes and Julian being out for a couple more months still, it makes sense. But then I'd want to bring in an experienced centre back. And what I mean by experienced isn't necessarily 300 games. I'm thinking someone who is 28 to 30 sort of range in their peak, which is where you're looking at Sviatchenko for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now I've got another name later on that I want to bring up in there, but we'll get to that. But something else you said earlier, John, talking about linking with the Aussies. I'd take Arzani in a heartbeat because we only have 1 left winger. I'd have him come back. Was that just the Australian in me?
He didn't show anything, I don't know.
It's because his first game he blew out his knee after 14 minutes. He did an ACL.
20 minutes he played.
Took 14 months or something to come back from it. And then as he's come back, Lennon has come in and he doesn't like playing lone players. So I actually think he could still do a job. But, we'll see how he goes at the Olympics playing for Australia, trying to get some runs into his legs.
Yeah, I mean, look, if he does well elsewhere, and he's still at that sort of age where you could probably either pay a transfer fee, take a punt, or give it. The only problem I have with loans is I think it inhibits our own players developing. So it only really works for me if there's if there's an option to buy at the end of it. Because then a loans are sort of like, we're not 100% sure if you might work, your experience might work in Scottish football, but we'll see at the end. That's kind of the only time when I think loans work, like the Edouard deal, basically.
Yeah, agree with you on that. As long as I'd rather bring in our player. So, like as you said, if we had Arzani last time and there was a future fee, you pay $2 million, you keep him, great. But Yeah, I don't want to see another Paddy Roberts where it's 3 seasons at the club or 2.5 seasons at the club, and then he goes, and every season we're linked with him again.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the confirmed signings we've touched on earlier: Ozazi Uragiri, Sheffield Wednesday, 4-year deal. Liam Shaw, 4-year deal, and Joey Dawson from Scunthorpe United going to the Colts team. I like the signing of guys specifically for the Colts team. It's
Even
good.
with the Mike Trusson statements,
I don't know what you're talking about again.
where he said there's no plan for the young players coming in.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's going to change. But as I said in previous pods, I think the Colts team should be the 16 through to 19-year-olds. And then by the time they get to that, for this season, they should be looking to progress, whether it's with us, if the Colts go into the second division next year or what the go is, then fine. But yeah, I don't mind him coming in there because apparently he's highly rated.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Colts is maybe the new plan for the youth teams. I think some of the plan. I think
for 1 year. It's a 1-year plan.
Well, are they not talking about making it more permanent now? They're not doing a vote recently to make it.
Well, at the moment it's 1 year, so
yeah. You're
they're
right.
still trying to get into the League Two, so that's why they're talking about restructuring everything to get the Colts. Yeah.
I mean, look, I think that's half of the issue that the Colts have had in the youth team or reserves, what you want to call them. That it's been so uncertain. We've had like the reserve league, and then that got scrapped, and now we're doing this, and that's potentially only a year. And so, I mean, I think I absolutely think you're right. I think we need more definitive career paths. Actual development paths for these players, like you would in any bloody job, right? Everyone sits and does performance reviews every year, and you talk about your next year's plan and stuff. If we're not doing that for these guys with actual like solidified performance indicators, I think it's a travesty. No wonder they're moving on. So
that's exactly what we need to do, John. You're spot on there, because if you have a look at it, when Rogers come in, he brought in Okoflex. He brought in there was a bunch of younger guys. We had a really good young core squad. Problem was there's no reserve league. There's no youth league. So they're basically playing the odd game here and there, and then they go play in the Europe games. If we're in the Champions League, they're playing those games as well. No wonder guys like Morrison and Hepburn left to go across to Bayern. Even though they didn't play for 6 months last year, they've still got a plan because they've both been progressed from the 17 squad up to the 19s this season. So at least there's a plan there. So if us having a Colts team is actually step one of that plan, so we have our 16 to 18-year-olds getting first-team football at Colts level, whether it's in the Lowland League or in League Two. And then after a year or two of that, they go on loan to a team in like the Championship or whatever, fine. And then you bring them to a low-end Premiership team so that by year 3, year 4, they're ready to be coming into our squad, fine. That makes sense. But there's a whole new key word, modernisation of Celtic going on. And I'm hoping like hell that is one of those things that they're talking about.
Yeah, I hope so as well.
The plan in the past has just been come in and get better somehow. And if you're good enough, you'll make it into the team.
Yeah.
Which is bullshit, because look at Sorrell. Sorrell came into the team and immediately was good enough. And then he still went out the team. Like, what is going to... Do you know what I mean? Like, there's something... Yeah. Sorrell was clearly good enough before he came in the team. And he was clearly good enough when he left the team. So what is going on? Do you know what I mean?
Neil Lennon, that's your answer.
Yeah.
But he'll blame.
You might be right. Because look, Brendan Rodgers was what Rodgers would do. He'd be like, right, it's December, players are getting fatigued. Calvin Miller, come in, play 3 games in a row. Here's your chance, kind of thing. Fair enough, he didn't make it, but at least that pathway was there. The chance was there, But
that was clever though, because you bring him in, give him 3 or 4 games, let him get a bit of a kicking, see what first team football's about. Then it's like, okay, now you've had a taste. You know what you've got to work to, what the levels are, what the standards are. Go back and work on these things. We can see these are your strengths. They're at this level. You've got this, and this to work on. Go work on them, and we'll put you back in for a few games once you've improved on them. That makes sense. That's how it's always worked. You saw that. If you go right,
always.
I'm going to throw it right back. Like, go right. Let's say if you know your history, you look at how loaded up the Quality Street Gang group was, right, coming through.
Mm-hmm.
On the back end of the Lions, you had them. How hard was it for those guys to break in?
Not very.
Pretty simple, right? That's when we first looked at bringing in a Colts team as a club, way back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So this is almost a 50-year-long conversation on Colts and youth development at Celtic. And I don't want to be pointing the finger at the moment saying this is all Brendan Rodgers' fault or Neil Lennon's fault or Scottish football's fault in general. This has been an ongoing thing, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Something's got to change. So I'm glad there is something.
Sorry, I don't want to say this as a fact, but something I picked up last year and I believe to be true is that the only that can't be right, five countries with B teams are Germany, Spain, Portugal, Netherlands, and Croatia. Is that right?
Switzerland as well.
Switzerland has as well. So look at the international teams of those countries.
Yeah.
Croatia has the same population as Scotland.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why we want it.
Actually, Croatia technically has a smaller population than Scotland, but roughly the same.
Yeah, but they're mad bastards. Let's be honest.
Netherlands is a small country as well. I'm just saying,
they're all nuts. Even Serbia's got it. I think Red Star's got a B team as well, if my memory's right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So fair enough.
But the point is that they're out there, right? These B teams, and they tend to be quite successful at national football, right?
That's the one. That's what stands out for me is Croatia.
Yeah.
Like Croatia, small country, B teams, and they do amazingly well as a national team.
Because it builds a bigger talent pool. That's what it is. If you've got 100,000 kids playing in the 15 to 18 age group, and suddenly there's no reserve team, and that's across the country, and you've suddenly got a B league and reserves, and you've got guys breaking through to the seniors at that age, suddenly it's actually going to give you more talent. If you've got 100,000 playing across the country, I'm talking about, not just looking for one league, and then suddenly if 1,000 of them make it, great. Then you get, and this talent picks up and develops. That's the best way for it to be. Survival of the fittest at the end of the day. But you got to have a lot of friggin' irons in the fire to, get it going.
Yep.
I just butchered that analogy, by the way.
I've had a couple of the frogs I didn't notice.
All right. So what we'll do then is talking about the players that are rumoured. What we'll do is we'll go through and say each of us will pick a position and we'll pick a player that's rumoured linked to the club or someone that we know about that we think could do a good job for Celtic and why. 1 or 2 sentences of why. And we'll just do that. So pretending we are the Celtic scouting department, which pretty much doesn't exist at the moment. Okay, so
hey, don't denigrate Tosh McKinley like that.
Come on, Tosh. All right, so I'll start it off with at goalkeeper. Yes, he's being linked with Real Sociedad at the moment, but Matt Ryan will probably cost us about 3 to 5 million from Brighton. The reasons: he knows Ange's system. There's an automatic trust there, and he's done it for years in the Premier League. And, he's done it in Spain and Belgium and that. So he's got runs on the board. He's a commanding presence. So for me, he'd be a good goalkeeper.
100% back that.
Yeah.
So John,
yeah, sorry, just on Matt Ryan before we move on. He was at Arsenal last season, right? That was as a loan move.
As a backup.
Yeah. I have a few mates who are Arsenal fans, and they seem to rate him quite well. They were even chatting about buying him at that point. That's how good. That's how well respected he was at Arsenal. So I mean, that's pretty good credentials if a Premier League team wants to buy you. I mean, I wouldn't say Arsenal's a big team anymore by any stretch of the imagination, but It's a good enough team. So, yeah, Matt Ryan is a good one. I'd be very happy if he came in. My right back, which we discussed before in the rumored, is Valentin Rossier, who is, well, I mean, last season he was on loan at Besiktas in the Turkish league, but he's a Sporting Lisbon player. I think he just has all the right attributes that we want. So he's 24 years old, which is a good age. It means he's probably ready just to walk straight into any first team that he moves to. He had 33 appearances last season for Besiktas and scored 1 goal, which is not bad for a right back. I think that's someone that we could definitely bring in. Probably would be our star signing, I guess, because he's probably rated around 7 million euros. So, yeah, we probably need to spend between 7 and 9 million pounds to get him. But we did that with Julian. We did that with Edouard. So I think that could definitely be. And we need a right back desperately. So
how old is he?
24.
Well, there's value there.
And there's exactly sell on value as well. So
Yep, I think getting him in 2 years or something he does well, you could easily make your money and then some. So perfect.
Exactly. That's it.
Beats the Peter Lawwell model.
Yeah. And he's played. Look, he's played for other decent teams, I guess. Dijon, and I think they're in the French second division, or at least they are now. So he's been in and around good leagues and good teams. I think he's definitely someone we could spend a good amount on.
Were we not linked with that Belgian right back at some point in the past?
Stunier, who's now with Rodgers at Leicester.
No, well, him, yeah. But Munier, were we not linked with him at some point? He was unbelievable at the Euros.
There you go. Another one missed.
What?
Thomas Munier or whatever his name, isn't it?
Yeah, Thomas Munier, yeah. He was unbelievable at Euros. Yeah. You need to kind of, it's a hard one, isn't it? You know, if you take a swing at it and, you know, if you miss, you miss. But I don't know.
Yeah,
it's hard.
That's it.
It's hard to call, you know.
All right. On to jump on to your next one.
Yeah, I'll just go straight into the next one, right? So I very much focus where I think we need to spend some money, which is defense. So my next choice was at centre back, which is Riquelme. I think that's how you say his name, who's also in the Portuguese league. Again, someone that sort of fits all the right things that we want from Celtic players. So he is 22 years of age. He plays in the Portuguese league. He's had 31 appearances and also scored a goal, which is not bad for a young centre-back. Clearly, we're looking in and around Portuguese. I mean, even if these rumours are true, to be fair, but we're linked at least with a lot of players that play in Portuguese leagues. The Portuguese league is obviously a good standard of football. I'd be quite happy if we got anyone half decent from that type of league. At least Riquelme is a little bit cheaper, probably needs to be around 2 to 3 million pounds. So I think it's like €1.5 million, €2 million or something like that. And that's all from like Transfer Market. So I don't know how trustworthy those sites are, but yeah, those are probably my 2 picks. I think we definitely need to reinforce our defense.
I'll just jump on and say why Portugal would be a good market for us, because it's a gateway to South America.
Exactly.
What also happens is those guys come from Brazil, Argentina, Chile, whatever. They go in there, they spend a couple of years there. Suddenly, it's easy to get your work permit for them, and now we can actually sign them. So
that's exactly it.
That's the problem, isn't it? He's Brazilian. He's never had a cap, and you're talking about work permits. It's a dicey one. The way we get through these appeals usually is that, yes, we are willing to pay 2-3+ million pounds for this player. Therefore, he is a good player. And then, you know, that's how we sign players like Soro, who didn't have a cap in bio. And it's because we just say, yes, we are willing to spend this X amount of money. Therefore,
yeah,
you know, yeah. I don't know if that's always going to wash. That's my concern.
No, but I think the difference there is there's obviously like a factor involved, which is the league that they play in. And I think that's probably where a bit of the mistrust comes in, where we buy a player like, say, Soro for 2 million, 3 million, and he's playing in the Israeli league, we all kind of go, maybe that's not. But Portuguese league is, I mean, I don't know where they are in the world rankings, but higher than Israel, right? So you probably go, there's a bit more trust there. That factor goes up a bit more. You think, okay, 2-3 million in that type of league. Okay, I can trust that decision more. So yeah, who knows? Obviously none of us are professional scouts, but those were my picks. They were the sort of right age and the positions we need. Seem to be doing okay in good leagues.
So I'll flow straight into the next spot that I picked, which was another centre back. I mentioned earlier about needing a 28 to 30-year-old centre back. Now, it's a guy I've mentioned on numerous previous podcasts, and an Australian, Trent Sainsbury. Best mates with Tom Rogic. He's 29 years old, 50 caps for Australia's senior team. He's played at clubs like PSC Zwolle, Inter Milan, PSV Eindhoven. He was Maccabi half year, played down there for a season and was like their captain on a few games. You'd be able to pick him up for, I think Transfer Markt was saying you get him for about $1 million, maybe $1.5 million. And he's from your neck of the woods in Australia, Sean.
Yeah, he's a Western Australian. Yeah.
Get him in.
I'm embarrassed. I don't know much about him. It says he played.
No, me neither. Yeah.
He's a good ball playing centre back. He can play left or right side in the back line. 6 foot tall, good in the air. He's actually got a decent free kick on him too. So,
honestly, my only knowledge of him is bringing him off the bench in Pro Evo when I was forced to play as Australia.
How old is Sainsbury?
29.
He's 29.
Okay, so it could be one of those experienced players we were talking about before.
That's why I brought that up earlier, because I was going to tie it in here later on.
Yep, there you go. So yeah, that sort of fits the bill that we kind of need just now. And for $1 million, that's not bad-ish.
Say if you brought in Itakura, Vuskovic, and then you got Sainsbury, if you lost Aya or whatever, and say then could work, then you've got options.
Exactly,
because
and that's what we need.
We've got to replace Aya. We'll have to replace Duffy. We've got to replace... We still haven't replaced Jozo, let's be honest. There's 3 centre-backs. Now we brought one in finally, which is great. But still, we're going to have some spots there.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah. I still prefer the ones we had rumoured, but yeah. Good value, I think.
As long as we don't get... I'd rather him every day of the week over Cameron Carter-Vickers, but that's just me because I'm an Aussie and I'm like fanboying now.
Yeah.
All right, John, next one on the list.
Yes, this was a bit... I mean, look, whether we want to do this or not, I guess, it's Aaron Hickey for left back. I think there's at least quite strong rumours, I guess, that we've put in a bid for Hickey. I think at the beginning of the year, we asked Bologna how much they would take. So we've clearly been keeping an eye on him, if we're to believe rumours. It's a bit of a tough one. I think he's got... he's the right age. He's probably got... We all saw it when he was playing against us, right? That he had something about him. He took a really bad injury last season and didn't play much for Bologna. So it's kind of like a bit of a buy that season for him as well. So we're really sort of basing our opinions, I guess. I'm basing my opinions on what it was like at Hearts. So I think for maybe 3 million, 3.5 million is not too bad. But I think that would be the smart thing to do only if we were to lose Bolingoli. He's probably better than Bolingoli, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, I think that's we need more left backs. I think Taylor's a very good left back, but I don't think he's someone we would use for every single game. I think he needs to improve on his attacking capabilities. So in games where we want to sit deep, I think Taylor could be quite good. And do we really want Taylor up against European teams? At least Hickey's gone away and played in different leagues with different styles of football. So even though it was only for like 11 games, 12 games or something like that.
I'm conscious that I rate Taylor more highly than everyone else on the podcast, but also I do also agree that Hickey would be a great signing for that price.
Yeah, we could have got him for cheaper at Hearts, I think.
But funny thing you've got to factor in here, guys, is sorry to cut you off there, Sean. Sorry? Is I said the 3.5 million. we get a cut of that anyway because we had him in the juniors.
Yeah,
So even if it is
save money.
listed 3.5 million, we may only be out of pocket 3 million.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that much, but yeah.
I'm just figure there, but anyway.
Yeah, I know it seems like bad value because you had him on the books 3 years ago, but what was it? How much did Chelsea pay for Matic after they let him go?
21 million.
I think it was no more than that. I don't even remember. But
No,
either way, like
yeah,
30 million or something. Like they sold him to Benfica for like 8-9 million, bought him back for 30. At some point, you have to just say, yes, this is still, this is still good value. And I think Chelsea got their money back in Matic. And does anyone think that Hickey's going to leave for less than that unless his contract runs down? Don't think so.
Yeah. Who knows?
I'd actually rather Taylor over him. That's just my opinion.
I like Taylor. I do think Hickey's a good player.
Yeah. Again, yeah, and that's exactly it. I think that at this point they're a bit of a much for muchness, Taylor and Hickey. But I think Hickey's got more growth potential.
Well, look, one of them's in the Scotland team and the other one isn't. So there's no question who's the better player right now. But there's a difference of age and class.
The thing for me with it is I've only ever seen games with Hickey playing at right back. I haven't seen Hickey play left back, so I can't really judge him. All I can go off is what I remember, and yeah, that's why I said I'd go for Taylor over him. But if he came in, we'd still get around him.
Yeah,
I'd rather Hickey over Doig.
Yeah, I agree. Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, next player. Come at me, everyone, in the comments. I'm looking forward to it. Lewis Ferguson, central midfield / defensive midfielder. Probably cost us 3 to 4 million. Forget the last name for a second and look at it purely on the footballer and who the footballer is. That's what I'm doing here. Get him in. I wanted Campbell from Motherwell. He's gone down to England. We've got to have a good Scottish core to the Celtic squad. That's why Ferguson is my selection here.
Barry Ferguson? No, I honestly don't agree. I think he's good. He's above Aberdeen level. I don't actually think he's the best centre mid at Aberdeen. I'm going to say that. I think Ross McCrory is a better player.
I thought you were going to say Scott.
Scott Brown.
Well, okay, sorry. Last year. But I think that a lot kind of gets glossed over by the fact he takes the penalties. And, that kind of adds to the stat sheet. And I literally rate... I mean, they're both Huns, but I rate Ross McCrory higher. I'm not averse to signing him because he's a Hun. I'd love to get another one on the scoreboard after... sorry, I just seen that comment from Strangelove. I'd love to get another one on the scoreboard after they took Mo Johnston and Neil McCann. I think the only one we've really had in earnest in reply is Barry Robson. So this might even the score a little bit, but honestly, I would rather take Ross McCrory than Lewis Ferguson. I'm going to say
it. Yeah. I think Ferguson is a player. I think he's got he's got somewhat of a good ability. I'm the same. I don't really care if we sign a Rangers supporter, to be honest. As long as they do a job for us and win us trophies, couldn't give a shit what team they support. Whether he's the right type of player we want right now, I don't really know. I think it's probably worth waiting at least another season, if not two, see where it kind of goes before we start. I mean, I don't know. I kind of agree with Sean. I don't think he's done it much for Aberdeen. So yeah, that's just my opinion, though.
I wasn't being serious, by the way. I just did that there.
Just chucking a grenade in there.
Yes, okay.
Do it and see what responses we get in the comments. Over to you, Sean. You've got left wing, you got right wing and striker to go. So we'll let you go through them.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand the game, so I was kind of like tossing and chopping between realistic and unrealistic, and the first one I put was left winger Jeremy Doku. I'm not going to claim to be some sort of sage. Anyone that watched Belgium play at the Euros, well, it's particularly in that last game against Italy when he nearly single-handedly rescued them. He looked shit hot. And when I read up on him, 19-year-old plays for Rennes. I'm like, this guy is good. Like, and he would cost, I don't know what he would be in transfer market. I would need to look up, but he'd be odds and Edward levels of fee. But he looked shit hot, and I would have no doubt that we would make that return on him. There you go. He's listed as 22 million. So apparently,
There goes the budget, everyone. Forget getting some centre backs or any other positions. Sean says blown it all on one player.
We get 50 million back. That's what I'm saying. But like, honestly, it looked shit hot. I couldn't believe when I checked afterwards and found he was 19. But one that I think is more realistic, that I would recommend, someone who used to play for Perth Glory, someone who I used to see in the flesh. So I used to go to Perth Glory games, and he played on the same wing that I used to have my season book. And I honestly, that it took me, it was the end of I watched him for a full season before I realized that he was 16. Like, he played the full first year that I was watching him. And he was
Get
16.
him in. I've seen this guy too. What a player.
And Jacob Italiano, yeah. And he's now 19. He's playing for the Mönchengladbach reserve team, the B team, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm telling you, he is better than, I believe he is better than Arzani. And he's a left winger. He's one of those right-footed left wingers. And I would take him, honestly. Take him in a heartbeat. In terms of right wingers, I was kind of tossing and turning, like Martin Boyle being the most realistic, but not inspiring in any way. Arim Bupenza, who is very expensive, but was the top scorer in the Turkish second league as a winger somehow. But again, still on the kind of edge, 8.5 million they're talking about, so on the edge of our affordability. But the one that I kind of landed on as most realistic and most beneficial would be Sirike Dembele. By every measure, a serviceable player for Peterborough United. Not anyone that's going to end up as a Premiership player. But if we can get him in, then we might be able to keep his younger brother for longer. And might get a few years out of him. That was my thinking behind that one.
Yeah.
Comment on the screens for you, Sean. It's one that if Liam was on, he'd be all over, I reckon.
I actually looked into that. I'd seen that rumor, and I looked into it, and I didn't look up any clips on YouTube or anything, Mitoma, but he just didn't fit the profile for me. He's only really been playing top level for 2 years, and he's 24 now. And Mitoma, and that's why I didn't really. He was on my list, and then I kind of dismissed him as being just slightly developing too late and not quite fitting the profile. He's the same age as Sirike Dembele, so I just figured with the upside of
looks like he's 40.
Yeah, maybe he is. I don't know. It's one of those ones, isn't it? If you're born in Africa. Yeah, in terms of the rest, for strikers, again, I had a list of like 4 players, including like Joshua King as a free agent. But the one that intrigued me the most, what I did was I was thinking, right, strikers at the Euros, Andreas Isaac. Yes, he looked really good. Plays for Real Sociedad. He is well out of our league. Right, move on. So what I was thinking, right, is, okay, who am I looking for here? Right, I'm looking for players at the lower end of the Premiership. Right. If they survive relegation, they're still in the Premiership, we can't get them. So I'm looking at teams who got relegated. Nah, nothing really there. So what's next? Okay, top Championship teams. So I'll look at the teams that just didn't make promotion from the Championship. And one player that stood out for me as a striker was Dominic Solanke, 23 years old at Bournemouth, striker, ex-Liverpool. To me, that is the ideal kind of profile of what we should be looking for. And again, he's going to be in the kind of 8, 9, in the Odsonne Edouard range of cost. But if we can hit that, then there's a return. Is that age, that return,
Absolutely. That's a great shout.
I'd be
Great
happy
shout.
with that. Be happy with that. Yeah. Think 8 to 10 million would be dreaming though. Didn't Bournemouth sign for 15 to 20 or something like that?
Did they? I don't know.
That's my one concern. I don't think they're gonna.
But they were in the Premiership at that point, weren't they?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
different
That was
market.
when Eddie Howe was spending stupid money on 20 million on a couple of players in his last season. Then they got relegated.
The only other thing I was thinking when I chucked people like Jeremy Doku on the list was like, well, it's a post-COVID market, like teams like Inter are trying to shed players, like they're, I know, like we're one of the few teams that are coming out of COVID looking okay. We're the only team in Scotland that didn't borrow money from the Scottish government.
Yeah, and there's we can go a whole another pod into why that might have been, but I think I also think as well that we, as a whole business model, we need to be thinking about spending on players. If we want a player to come in straight into the first team and just hit the ground running, we need to be spending 7 to 10 million on each player.
Yeah,
That's
the market.
There's a guy I've had my eye on for a few years who I think would be awesome for us. And I just quickly looked him up now. He's only 23 and he's currently at Nice, which is Kasper Dolberg, who's a Danish
Yeah, I saw him.
Danish striker.
I
So
think he was in our purview.
that's the one thing I need to look at. But to me, he would be an ideal candidate if he's within the. There you go. Nice spent well and truly out of our price range, 20.5 million. There goes the budget. But if you could somehow get him or a player in that sort of mold, I think Ange could do wonders with him.
Yeah, I did think about it, and I was thinking anyone that really shone at the Euros is really out of our price range.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
Which is unfortunate, because if you look at, but if you go back to Euro 2000, Yusuf Haran had a great Euro 2000, and then Martin O'Neill signed them for 3.5-4 million. That is not something we can do now.
Yeah. I agree, and that's really where the pressure of this transfer window and probably January as well comes in, because if we get the right players in now, those ones that are sort of maybe under the radar, what we're talking about is like somewhere between 5 and 10 million, depending on the position and stuff. I mean, next season is automatic Champions League money, right? If we get Champions League 3 years in a row, that's it. That's perfectly achievable, by the way, to win the next 3 seasons in a row, right? We can start talking about spending 15 plus million on players, because we'll hopefully be banking quite a lot from that. 150 million just from Champions League. That's
bringing in 30 to 40 a season minimum.
Exactly, yeah. After all your expenses and operational costs and stuff, you're getting decent money there. So that's really, we're talking back to the Rodgers levels if we can achieve that. And if Ange can get those types of players in, these sort of bargain under the radar players, definitely not like bargain basement stuff. You don't want like fucking shit players for tiny little bit of money, but we want decent players that might not have performed well in the Euros or didn't even get a chance to play in the Euros, and or for Copa America, go look to South America and stuff and look for decent players there as well.
That's a great tie into this comment from Strangelove the Doctor. Borry was on a free from River, but apparently he's gone now. But, yeah, that would have been a decent player there, what you're talking about. So what we'll do, quickly transition into our last little few things we're going to talk about. So if you could sign any player for the current squad and cash isn't an issue for a transfer fee and wages, let's see how stupid we can get here.
We got there a little bit.
For me, there's a free agent in Spain right now that I would take at Celtic. The transfer fee would be zero. I gather the wages would be relatively high, but if we could maybe offer him a deal where he collects 100% of the royalties on every jersey we sell with his name on it, then he could surely make more than he's currently earning if we do that. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, do anything.
The player's name.
The name? I can't remember his name. He's a bit shit. Lionel something? Lionel?
Messi? Is it
Messi? I think that's how you
Messi.
pronounce it,
That
Messi.
bloke. Yeah. Yeah.
Messi. He's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy.
Oh, yeah. How about you, John?
Well, I didn't quite go down the Messi train, but there's a player that I liked. I really thought he was great when he played against us. When he's still at RB Leipzig, but it's Josef Poulsen. I would never be able to afford his wages. So, I mean, look, it's a player that's not quite the stupid levels, but yeah. Yeah, just I think he's an all-round great player. Danish, 27, scoring goals like mad. Yeah, Leipzig, Bundesliga, great player. That's if we could just go out and buy him, our striker woes would be over.
Can I give you another stupid one that's realistic?
Yeah, stupid one that's realistic. For about 30 million.
Hope you don't take it.
I know a player who. Sorry, Jared, you go first then, just in case I don't want to cut your knees.
Number 7 on the shirt. Get him in. Swedish. We need a striker.
That's what I was going to say.
Do not cut my grass there, Sean. Get in, Zlatan.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I swear to God.
I could just tell. As soon as I saw your face, I'm like, that's it. He's stealing my answer here.
Fools seldom differ, or great minds think alike.
Take that for sure.
Swear to God, that is the one I was going to say.
Get him in. Get Zlatan in. The Benjamin Button of
world. Do you know why? Do you know what motivates Zlatan?
Ego.
Winning leagues.
Yeah, true.
He is not motivated by money. He is motivated by winning leagues. He wants to win leagues as much as he can. That is his.
He said that he wanted to play for us because his idol growing up was Larson. So get him in.
What does that? Yeah.
Get him in. Get the Larson's shirt on his back. He'll love it.
I thought I just seen it laughing at that comment. Sorry. Yeah. Honest to God, like he would. I feel that is literally a realistic, ridiculous, but also possible. Not realistic. A ridiculous but possible signing. Well, how did we keep Larson? We something like they gave him 100% of royalties from his jerseys. The same thing I was saying about Messi.
Yeah,
they're the same as Zlatan. Do you know what I mean? Like, and like, you know, what would we pay Larson for? We're paying him 40 grand a week, something like that. Yeah. If Champman is correct.
I just look at it and go, the Scandinavian market is somewhere that, with our history in there, we need to be going. This is our area. If there's a player there that we want, we get them. Now, the problem is now you've got those Dutch teams and you've got Belgian football looking at it as well. But that's something that I've always thought we should be really strong in that market.
Mm-hmm.
I think
the conditions aren't going to be much of a betting in period, are they? Like you're coming from Spain to come and play on ice and snow. They're used to it over there.
I'd love. In fact, I think it needs to be Celtic's mission from now on to get Zlatan to be playing at Celtic, so we can see him at Love Street and see him at Tony Macaroni Arena and all of those fantastic stadiums that we have in Scotland.
Can you imagine Zlatan at Rugby Park?
The surgeon saw my knee and he said, "This is the best knee I've ever seen." After the Tony Macaroni, Zlatan.
The spaghetti head.
The spaghetti head, yeah. Oh, well, right. You know.
So we'll jump on to the next one here for you. So it's got to be, if you could name your dream former Celtic player to return to our current squad this season, and it's got to be someone who's in the right age that they actually could play. I'm not saying so like Jimmy Johnson or something, and pick him in the team now because it's a bit hard.
Oh shit! I wasn't prepared for this question.
Yeah. See, I thought
answers, but I can tell you who mine would be.
Well, I mean, mine's probably quite obvious. I was Wanyama 100%.
That's not who that would be my number 2.
There you
Jared,
go.
Who are you going to say?
I was going to say it's going to be Denier. Jason Denier. Bring him back.
Sorry, is this supposed to be a realistic one?
Yeah.
A little bit. Someone who's still playing.
Is everyone forgetting about Virgil van Dijk? Or
I know he's there.
Christ. Yeah, fuck yeah.
I partner because I knew one of you guys had picked Virgil. So I'm like, remember that back one of Denier and Van Dijk? I'm like, I don't want to do the obvious one, but I'll pick his partner from back then.
Sorry, I'll take the one that's absolute chalk. Yes, the most expensive defender in the world, please. Yes,
Yeah.
Virgil van Dijk.
And then we'll have Tierney back as well. That will be the next
Musa
one.
Dembele, number 2.
Yeah, Musa Dembele. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Good.
Who would I have first, Dembele or Tierney? That's a good question.
Here's one who's still playing for you.
Yeah, take him. Yeah, bring him in.
Still put the ball through a bus window.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Sean, you got a quiz to end off with.
Yes. So, just to round it off, since we're on transfer talk, I have in front of me a list according to transfermarket.co.uk, the top 30 transfer fees received by Celtic. So I'm going to chuck it over to you two guys, and it is a automatic elimination where it goes back and forward. The person who survives the longest naming players who have received the highest transfer fee for Celtic will be the winner. That's it. Straight up elimination. First person to get one wrong, and that's it. Game over. So you have to name someone who's in the top 30 transfer
Victor Wanyama
fees received. Okay, Jared starts off. Victor Wanyama, correct.
Okay.
Number 4, Victor Wanyama.
Tierney.
Correct. Number 1.
Dembele.
Ah, shit.
Number 2.
Come on, John.
Hang on.
I was looking it up.
The next time.
I can give you number 3 on the list if you want, just for fun.
Yeah, go on.
Van Dijk.
Yep.
Yeah, but all right. Okay, so 4-star.
Number 5.
Okay, all right. Okay, so it's not as quite high as I thought. That's fine. All right, Jared, you go.
Bruni.
Scott Brown. Transfer fees received.
Yeah, received.
Received. Okay, hang on. Okay, I thought we were paying it. All right, I thought it was both combined, so I tracked that.
I got one.
Go on, because that'll get you back on level.
Yeah.
Wanyama. It's got to be up there.
You've already said Wanyama.
Oh, we said Wanyama?
Yeah.
Oh, you bastards. Right, okay.
Jeez.
Just to give you an edge, the bottom one is 1.35 million.
So the bottom is like 1 million.
Number 30 is 1.35 million.
Would that be...
Sorry?
John Collins.
No.
No, right, okay.
He wins one.
Is Hooper in there?
Gary Hooper, number 12.
Number 12. Christ, right. So it must really rocket down pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go, John. You won. Congratulations.
Christ, that was like pulling teeth, wasn't it?
I thought you were going to get a lot more.
Oh,
you had
McGeady.
Terrible.
McGeady was number 6.
Klamala.
Jamie Frimpong was number. I wrote this.
Frimpong. He went for 11 million. Yeah.
Frimpong was number 7. Petrov was 8. Viduka 9. Stuart Armstrong number 10. Ki-Sung Young number 11. Van Hooijdonk number 13. Kenny Miller, Scott McDonald, Joe Ledley, Marc-Antoine Fortuny number 17.
Kenny Miller's in there for all of
Yeah, Kenny Miller's number 14. Yeah.
The real question is Stefan Skepkovic in there?
No, he's not. No. Stephen Manis is in here at number 25. Is 1.62 million.
Wow.
Danny
so what
Fox,
is it?
Number 23.
What's the biggest drop? It must go from like 10 million around about that to 5.
Well, obviously the top guys just big drops, but no, honestly, it's pretty gradual.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, again, assuming transfer market is correct, it's pretty gradual.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much what you expect.
Bit of an interesting one to end it with.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few other names you wouldn't expect. Kelvin Wilson, Adam Matthews, Artur Boric, Stefan Johansson, Ail Berkovic, Danny Fox, Craig Beattie, Frank McAvenny is in the list somehow at number 26. Paul Elliott's number 27. They're both ahead of Stan Varga at 28. Charlie Nicholas at 29, and Sean Maloney is 30.
Wow. That's gone back a bit, Nichols.
Oh, there you go.
Nicholas.
Well,
Yeah.
what we'll do is we'll leave the podcast there. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a follow on Twitter at Celtic Down, Instagram at Celtic Down, Facebook page. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well for more of these live shows. And yeah, hail, everyone.
Hell.
Hell.